Hi, welcome back. This is a buyer representation contract. So the previous video showed agency relationship in real estate transaction. Again, we're working with a client and we signed this contract 2 weeks ago. My client has given the okay and the go ahead to use her forms with mostly by covering her name, so that we can be able to have a good teaching session where we're currently saying and doing the things we're actively doing. So I'm going to dive right into it because I want this video to be short, sweet, and simple. So let's get into it. I'm going to group some parts of this contract. There will be a link underneath this video where you can be able to download this form, read it over, highlight, and if you have any questions, please give me a call, text, email me. I am so much more better with a phone call. So if you have any questions, please give me a call and I will be able to answer all your questions. So let's get right into it. So line 1 to line 7 it has our date. It has the name of the buyer, the client. It could be a husband and a wife who are going into it together, so both names will have to be on here. Right now it's just one client. It has the name of the broker. I am with Keller Williams Integrity Realty, and it has the name on there. It has the name, it has the date in which we signed this contract, till the date where the contract is going to be void and not of good standing anymore. So this buyer representation contract, it is good for 180 days, so 6 months. It is good from then. We signed this contract July 13th and it's going to be good till January 9th. There are 2 lines that I'm going to read to you. I'm not grouping that because I just feel like it's important to me. This contract terminates upon successful closing of a property or expiration or cancellation of this contract, whichever occurs first. This contract may only be canceled by written agreement of the parties, of both parties, multiple parties that are involved in this contract. So if, as I signed a contract with my client July 13th, we actively started looking for a home. If she was to find a property July 25th, and we put in a purchase agreement and offer on the home, it gets accepted. We do our due diligence. We wait our 30 to 45 days to close. By the time we're closed on the property that we found for her, this contract is voided. If we haven't found the property for her just quite yet, this stands for the good 6 months. I just wanted to clarify what that highlighted part was saying there. So we move on to line 11 to 14, which is broker's obligation. So it states broker shall make a reasonable effort to locate property acceptable to buyer. Broker should use professional knowledge and skills to assist in negotiation for the purchase of property. And then to summarize it in terms of, it says broker shall comply with all applicable fair housing and non-discrimination regulations. So it's our job in making sure that we represent everyone and all people involved in making sure that we are not in any way, shape, and form discriminating against any protected parties or just anyone for that matter. Buyer's obligation: buyer shall work exclusively with broker for the purchase of this property. Buyer shall promptly furnish to broker accurate and relevant personal financial information to ascertain buyer's ability to purchase property if requested. If buyer refuses to close the purchase for any reason other than the failure of seller to perform, subject to relevant contingency, buyer shall pay broker all compensation due under this contract. So again, if my buyer interested in a property, we've put in an offer, given an example, and we've stated that we're going to put in a 5-day contingency, inspection contingency, and we're getting to day 4, and my buyer has yet to find a inspector that works well with her budget. They're understanding that it is their responsibility, that they possibly will be losing their earnest money, and they are willing to continue with the terms of the purchase agreement pertaining to this property. Regardless, they have to follow what they're saying they're going to do. Short, sweet, and simple. I'll get more into inspections. That's just going to be a video by itself because that's so important. And we'll get more deep dive into purchase agreement later on. But back to buyer's obligation, what you've said in the purchase agreement, what you've agreed on this journey to be able to find a home you're agreeing that what you say you're going to do, you're going to do that. You have the financial ability, you are financially responsible to be able to purchase what you are looking for. So we're going to move right along, and we're going to get into the broker's compensation piece of it. How do a buyer agent, how do they get paid? Is there a retainer fee? The answer is no. There is a zero retainer fee to be able to retain a real estate agent like myself. This contract, by you signing it, this contract retains me for the 6 months that we'll be working together, the 180 days. So there is no retainer fee. How we get paid when it comes to the 2.7, when you say pay 2.7 of the selling price, what is that? Okay, so property goes on the market. Mr. Bob owns the home. You can't forget Mr. Chicken, who is the listing agent working with Mr. Bob. If you watched the first video, you know where we're going with this. Mr. Chicken representing Mr. Bob. When they sign a listing agreement, it is 6% commission comes with listing of a property. Mr. Chicken, hey, I need a buyer to buy my home that we've just listed on the market. I'm a giver. I'm going to share the 6% commission that's on this property to someone who will bring a buyer for this property. And then here is Mr. Shark, who is a buyer's agent. I'm Mrs. Shark in this role. I'm coming in. Oh, I have an awesome buyer. We've seen their pre-approval. They have the ability and the terms, the means, the money to buy your home. We're going to put in an offer. Our offer gets accepted. From the 6%, Mr. Chicken is going to share his commission and give me 2.7 out of that because I brought in a qualified buyer with a qualified buyer with a nice written purchase agreement to their home. That's how we get paid. The seller and your agent are giving to us the 2.7 for bringing someone qualified like yourself to the property who can be able to buy it. That's how we get paid. You as a client in the buying process, you are not to pay me anything. We're not working on, if you don't find a house for me, then we're not going to be able to then you owe me $500 by the end of this contract. That is not it at all. And I hope that breakdown helps with explaining how we get paid. It is not coming out of your pocket. That is not included in any of the closing costs that you have to bring to the table for the purchase of your home. What you have to bring for closing costs has to pertain to the purchase of the property. If we need any more breakdown on how 2.7 will be get paid to a buyer's agent like myself, please let me know. But you as a client, future client, you don't have to pay me a retainer fee and you do not owe me by the end of this contract. We'll get into more details about this contract as we go along. I don't want to be stuck there. Let's move right along. Just towards the broker's compensation, it just states again that this contract is good for 180 days, the closing of a property, or the 180 days, whichever comes sooner. So we're going to move right along. Line 45 to 47 says, buyer understands that buyer does not have to pay broker's compensation if buyer signs another valid buyer representation contract or facilitator service agreement after the expiration or cancellation of this contract, under which buyer is obligated to compensate another licensed real estate broker. You do not owe me anything. If in the middle of this you come to me and say, I don't think this is working, we're both going to get into a cancellation, and you go about your way, I go about my way. But I don't want that to happen. I want for us to be in each other's way because I care about you. I care about you, girl. Or guy. Or both. I digress quite often. So we're going back into the contract. Line 48 to 53 is a caution, and I'm going to read that verbatim. It says, buyer's action in locating a property may affect payment of compensation by seller and may therefore obligate buyer to pay all or parts of the compensation in cash at closing. For example, the act of going through an open house unaccompanied by buyer's broker or licensee representing buyer, or signing a purchase agreement through another broker or with owner may require buyer's payment of the full compensation to buyer's broker. It feels like I just really went on a spinning wheel there, but I would just summarize it. So if we've signed a contract and your neighbor's house, there's an open house in your neighbor's house and your neighbor is selling their home by themselves, and you go and you're like, oh, I like this property and I would like to put in an offer on it, and I don't accompany you to go do that. I'm not alongside you signing a purchase agreement or filling it out. You're working along with the buyer. If that continues or that goes through, because we've signed this contract, yes, I wasn't involved in that process right then and there, but because we have signed this contract and you have bypassed me, it states there that the full compensation of the 2.7 would then go to the agent who you signed a contract with, which is, I feel like, is definitely fair, because if we're in this understanding that we are to guide each other, or I'm here to guide you and stuff, and then you bypass because what I don't care about her opinion or whatever else, I'm gonna do this on my own, it negates or it diminishes my time that has been put into the process. And I'm sure a lot of agents can feel that way of, we've discussed X, Y, and Z, and you're now doing A, B, C. It's not making sense. So we get back into the contract. We're on line 54 to 58. It states the nature of the property. And within the options are commercial, industrial, farm, recreation, residential investment, residential personal, or vacant land. So we just kind of tick which one we are wanting to do. I tick both boxes of residential personal or residential investments because it just covers the umbrella. If you decide to purchase this as your personal and then you decide to move out within a year and put it up for rent and turn it into an investment property, it covers that right at the beginning of the contract. Moving right along in terms of closing services, from line 59 to 69, it states that as an agent, I would direct in terms of finding the right title, not the right, a good, awesome, amazing title company to be able to help facilitate or move things forward with the closing of the purchase agreement. There have been two amazing title companies that I've worked with, Watermark and All American Title. And you don't have to go with any of the title company that I've suggest. If you decide, you know what, I've worked with Land Title, for example, and I've used them in the past and I'd rather use them, then we can tick the box that says buyer shall arrange for a qualified closing agent or a buyer's attorney to conduct closing. If you want for me to find, if you direct for me to find a qualified closing agent, then we'll tick the first box. I don't know, I hope the camera can show that in terms of the two boxes. But you as the client determines if you want me to find a closing agent or you are going to find your own closing agent or title company to help close your transaction for you. So move right underneath that is additional cost. It says buyer acknowledges that buyer may be required to pay certain closing costs, which may effectively increase the cash outlay at closing. You definitely will be giving what you need to bring for closing, how much, what cost what. There might be additional costs with how things are moving along, but it's just letting you know that possibility of it. And an awesome agent, an awesome Keller Williams agent like myself is definitely going to make sure that we are keeping you in communication in every step of the way. If anything changes, you're going to be aware. If more money needs to be brought to the table, you're going to be aware. If you're going to be getting more money on the table during close, maybe more checks come back to you. However, you're going to be aware of all of those things as well. We move down to line 72 to 79, which is a foreign investment in real estate property tax. I'm going to summarize this up. If the seller is a foreign person and no exceptions from FIRFTA withholding apply. Just short and sweet. If any of the foreign bodies or any of the parties are of any foreign entity, foreign nations, we then suggest that the buyer should definitely contact any attorney, because there's some tax withholding that comes with working with any foreign parties in a real estate transaction. So it is definitely highlighted here that buyers should seek appropriate legal and tax advice regarding any foreign investment compliance, as broker will be unable to assure buyer that a transaction is exempt from the withholding requirements. Again, just short and simple, with foreign investments, if any of the parties are foreign, there's some special tax withholding that goes into that space of that, and we will be directing you to an accountant, a tax person to best advise and guide you on what to do with that. Moving right along to line 80 to 83, private inspection warranty. This paragraph here is really highly emphasizing the need for a home inspection, and that there are some homes that have some home warranties that protect some of the physical condition of the property. But I don't even care if it's new construction. I truly believe that every single buyer should definitely get a home inspection. In coming in from the healthcare world, we do the CYA. I think that's just everywhere. Just cover your, because we don't want anything popping up in the middle of when you're just enjoying your home and you're like, oh, I did not know this was here, or what's going on now. Moving right along to the next page, page 3, line 83 to 102. Line 85 to 102, here, is agency representation. So it talks about the dual agency, in which we touched on the first video. Agency representation. If the buyer chooses to purchase a property listed by broker, a dual agency may be created. This means that broker will represent both the buyer and the seller and owe the same duties to the seller that broker owes to the buyer. Just short and sweet, if this house has been listed by a Keller Williams Integrity Realty agent, shout out to us. Focus. When a property is listed by Keller Williams Integrity Realty, I just love them because they're awesome. And if that's listed and Mr. Shark, buyer's agent, who is also Keller Williams Integrity Realty agent, I'll just put Keller Williams because that's a mouthful, comes with an agent. This is a dual agency. We expressed that in the first video of what dual agency is. If Keller Williams is the listing agent and Mr. Shark as the buyer's agent is still with Keller, this is a dual agency. We are saying or putting that in the box for the client to sign, because we don't want to limit ourselves. If you're like, I don't want to deal with anything with Keller Williams, I want to explore other brokerages and only look at houses from RE/MAX results, for example. And then you sign the part where it says, I don't want to do with dual agency. I don't want to check out other houses from the same brokerage. And that's okay. It just comes with limitations that you're not going to be able to see all the houses that might fit your criteria. But it's there for you to sign that you understand dual agency and that we are still going to represent and give you the best representation and the best fiduciary duties. We're still going to uphold all of those things, even if we're representing buyer or seller. And then the bottom of the rest of the form really just talks about if there are other potential buyers involved in the transaction, previous agency relationships, termination of fiduciary duties, and again, tying it back to the agency relationship form of the predatory offenders list and what the entire agreement is about, electronic signatures that you're okay with signing stuff electronically, and consent for communication. And then we sign. Both parties will sign the 4th page. And then this is also an important page. I have made the mistake in the past of bypassing or getting my client to sign this page. Yes, just to make sure her name was completely striked out. But this is a wire fraud, and just being careful if you ever have to transfer money, do anything that involves electronically with sending money. And this is just a cautionary paperwork about that. And we sign that, and this is the buyer representation contract. I legit sped through that, just in terms of really wanting to keep in the video short and simple. But if you do have any questions, if there's anything I didn't explain as accurately as you would like, please feel free again to give me a call so that I can be able to explain and express this to you one-on-one. So yeah, this is a buyer representation contract. Hang in with me, get into class, because we're going to be going alongside and going through this buyer process that I'm actively currently working on. I hope to see you in the next video. Stick with me on this curriculum, and we're going to learn, and we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. It's going to be cute. We're going to have fun, because we're going to have fun. We didn't come to this life to not give cute and not know. We're going to have fun. See you in the next video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.